Welcome back to the RC wrench bench. Today we got a really quick project. This is my son's Arrma Granite. You can tell that it's the granite of a 12-year-old because there's duct tape across the back of the body. So my son got this a couple of years ago as one of their two-wheel drive brushed kits, the Granite Boost, I think it was called, which, if you're unfamiliar with that line from Arrma, they took their 3S models and sold them as two-wheel drive brushed kits, and then sold boost packs to kind of upgrade as you went. So we've turned this into a four-wheel drive 3S rig. We've updated the speed control to a BLX 100, and then this brushless motor is a Reedy. This was actually the motor that came in my rival MT10, and you know, it's a few years old and it takes a beating, and this is a spunky little motor. It does great in both of those kits, but it's been super reliable. I think I replaced a bearing one time. Other than that, it's been fantastic. So anyway, last time we were out bashing, we were running 3S through this, and one of the things that we had not updated was the slipper. So it had a very light duty slipper and 48 pitch spur gear on it. And so of course that didn't last too long. So we've blown that out, and we're gonna replace that. I got on Jenny's and found the 3S slipper clutch as a complete pack. So this has absolutely everything, right down to the bearings. And you know, some folks have strong feelings about breakers like Jenny's, but I use them all the time, especially for my bashers. It's just so much more affordable, and takes a project like this and turns it into, you know, a 25-minute project that costs 40 bucks instead of you know, buying all the parts individually, assembling them, and spending, I don't know, probably 70 or 80 bucks. So quick fix today on just swapping out the old light duty slipper and installing the new heavy duty one with a 32 pitch gear, and then we'll throw a 32 pitch pinion on the motor as well. If you're not familiar with these kits, they are pretty modular by design, and as a result pretty easy to work on. So in order to get this power unit out, so it's the motor and the slipper all in one kind of chunk, we're just going to take out the drive shaft that connects the slipper to the front. And then there's one screw in the bottom. It's a 2.5 millimeter. And then this little brace here will come out. Sometimes it needs a little bit of encouragement, especially if you run in sand. Some junk will get down in there. So with that bottom screw removed and this little block taken out, we're just going to go ahead and disconnect the motor connectors. And then, you know, you pull up on this little tab in the back. It actually is marked pull on the back of that. So you just pull up on that and then use something to pry away that power unit. And after you get it out past the notch in that little tab in the back, it will just pop right out. There we go. So here is the slippers inside of this case, obviously, and we're not going to need to disconnect the motor. There are these three 2.5 millimeter screws that hold the back side of this case on. I'm just going to loosen those up and take that out. And here is that light duty slipper. You can tell that this was not meant for the demands of a 3S brushless motor. Very light, only one pad on the back, and you can see that we fully smoked this spur gear. As it started to go, my son decided he was just going to send it, which he continued to do until it would not move anymore, and then we kept the throttle going for a while, even as it was just sitting there. So anyway, out with the old, and then here is the new, obviously much more heavy duty, slipper plates and pads on both sides. Bearings are included, 32 pitch gear that goes right in there. I'm just gonna take this and kind of brush it out a little bit and get rid of all of the dust from that spur gear that we melted in there before. And we're gonna take that pinion off right now and install a new one. There goes that. I did check out the manual for what is included in the brushless granite to make sure I was getting a comparable pinion, and they had a 15 tooth on there, so we're gonna put a 15 tooth in there. And looks like we're probably gonna need to adjust the motor a little bit. Slide that over, install the new slipper assembly, and then we'll put the slipper on there and see, put the motor, or the pinion rather, on there, and then we'll check to see where that alignment's going to need to be. Shaft on this motor is not terribly long, and the alignment with the spur gear, you do want to have it be so that you're maximizing contact. That position looks like it's going to be pretty good. I'm just going to snug that up there temporarily and then tighten up the pinion. When I look at the pinion, it pretty much appears as though if I have the end of the motor shaft pretty much equal with the end of the gear, so it's almost flush. That ensures that the pinion is going to fully engage with the slipper. Maybe pull it out just a little bit. Put just a little bit of thread lock on there. Oops. All right, I fiddled with getting the right alignment on the pinion, so to make sure that the entire pinion gear itself was making contact with the spur gear. I adjusted the mesh on the motor, the adjustment on the motor mount to make sure the mesh was good, and you know, now there's just a little bit of play. If you gently rock that spur gear back and forth, it will move just a little bit. So that looks good to me. Going to reinstall the back side of that case. And now we're going to reinstall this in the truck. So we're just obviously going to work in reverse. There are some guide slots for the power unit to slide into place, and we're going to make sure that's lined up, and then we're just going to kind of rock the truck back and forth until you can feel it snap right into place. We are going to reconnect our motor wires. I didn't make note of the connections here, so if one of them is off, we will just need to swap them to make sure the motor direction is going in the correct way. And we're going to slide this red brace back into place we're going to reinstall this 2.5 millimeter screw to the bottom of that. And then we're going to reinstall the drive shaft that connects the slipper to the front. And that's all she wrote. Ready to go. So we'll take this out for a spin, make sure everything's all right. I'm assuming that the slipper is adjusted as it needs to be since this was removed from a brand new kit. If not, they're super easy to adjust. I typically use the concrete on my basement floor. I use a 2 millimeter driver, and then pull the truck until the tires lock up, and that's where you would leave it. Some people struggle with the slippers on the 3S vehicles. I have found them to be okay. I haven't really struggled with them very much. All right, so that was the slipper replacement on the Arrma Granite. Again, this was the boost going to a full 4-wheel drive 3S treatment by putting in the heavier duty slipper. Thanks again for tuning in to the RC Wrench Bench. I appreciate all the views. I don't get any comments. Throw some comments in there if you'd like to see particular projects, or if you have comments on what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. I'm open to feedback. Thanks again.